Started in this second hour of the programme, and we're going to move from the clash, which isn't necessarily one thing that you can describe as easily listening, to something that very definitely is. Because I'm delighted to say that I've got Mark Llewelyn Evans in the studio with me. He's our wonderful Welsh baritone. And obviously he does an amazing job with his classical voice, but he's had a complete sort of change of direction for the moment. And he's releasing a brand new album, which is much more about easy listening. And it's being launched with a very special concert at the wonderful Lyric Theatre in Carmarthan next week. All sorts of stellar names on the bill, alongside Mark, including Rob Brydon, and I think Sophie Evans is going to be there as well. We're going to be talking to Mark in just a second. I'm delighted he is in the studio with us. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Let's have a little listen of what you've been doing, Mr. Evans.
Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one above you? We'll forget the sun in his jealous sky as we lie in fields of gold. Sometimes when we touch, the honesty's too much, and I have to close my eyes and hide.
Well, Mark is sitting in front of me. He says he's been a little bit nervous about this. You shouldn't. It sounds great.
But it's so different. I think that's why. They only arrived with me yesterday, so I only heard the finished article yesterday. But it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, but was kind of made to jump, really. And the opportunity came along. And when the song selection came to the table, and they were all pop songs, I initially thought, hang on a minute, I've done classical music for 20 years. Can I give these songs what they require? And am I allowed to do them, really? Because there was I think there's that stigma that if you do classical music, then maybe you shouldn't cross over to certain repertoire. You know, some people have done it well, some people haven't. And I was a little bit scared of that. But I also realised there's a Neil Diamond album that I bought, and he did covers. And in there, he just said that it wasn't that he wanted to do anything better or worse, but there were songs that meant so much to him that he just wanted to give his take to them. And I think that's exactly what, hopefully, we've done anyway.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, I guess we've all got songs that we love, songs that we like. I mean, songs that I sing very, very badly when I'm in the car. But, you know, there's songs that you just get a lot of joy out of singing. And as professionals, you must be just the same, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no question. I remember day one when I went to the Guildhall School of Music, and we sat around and everybody in the year had to give their aspirations. And people said that they wanted to sing at the Met and they wanted to do this and that. And I remember saying, I want to entertain. And there's no question that for the last 20 years, and hopefully for the next 40 years, I'm a storyteller. And these songs give me a great chance to tell a different kind of story. And I think the more you go through in life, it may feel tough at the time, but you know what? You can tell even better stories because you've just got, I think you've just been through more, so you're able to interpret them.
Life experience.
Yeah, life experience is so important. And on here, it's funny, I've chosen, and I didn't know the repertoire at all, some country songs, like Don't Close Your Eyes, and they're just amazing stories. And then you just put a few notes to them, really.
And how far have you been allowed to be involved with the
completely.
selection? It's completely your editorial sort of control over it, yeah.
Yeah, so I've sat down, and I suppose the last 6 months almost choosing repertoire, and then when we knew that we had Nick Patrick, who's one of the biggest crossover producers in the world. I mean, he's amazing. He's done Catherine Jenkins, Alfie Boe, Russell Watson, Blake, and so the list goes on and on. And when he said he was happy to produce this album and brought together the most amazing team. I mean, we went to Real World, to Peter Gabriel's studios to record the album.
In Wiltshire. The ones in Wiltshire are fabulous, aren't they?
Amazing. You know, we've got Kylie Minogue next door, and, you know, and I'm in there singing Sometimes When We Touch or whatever. And it's...
I hear Kylie was saying she was next door to Mark Llewelyn Evans and she was very happy about
apparently it. Apparently so. I don't know where you heard that, but that's good news.
Sources. I have my sources. I wonder, in terms of, you say you were a little bit nervous when you were going into it, but presumably there wasn't nerves about your voice being able to handle it, was it? I mean, I can't imagine anything tougher than being a classical singer in terms of the way you've got to support your voice, the way you've got to project it. I mean, surely that just gives you all the tools you can tackle any type of music.
Yeah, I think technically, but it's allowing almost to turn some of that, it's not turning the technique off, but almost allowing to turn the power off and and how you use your voice in a bel canto Italianate way, that you're able to switch that down a little bit. So instead of long big vowels, you can snatch the words, or you can breathe when you fancy. And that was really important. And just now and again, they would let me open up the voice, and they said, "I like that, but not too much." And also recording with a mic, literally very, very close. That you can whisper at times. And that, have I told you lately, it's just with guitar. I mean, an amazing guitarist called John Porticelli, who's done lots of the big albums with Nora Jones and people like that. And I just wanted something that was very intimate. That track for me is for my daughter, and it's just I wanted everything to be as if I was in a room with someone, and that intimacy. And yeah, it's funny that they've mixed it and they've recorded it very. It sounds in some ways quite an old-fashioned way. That there's none of this big reverb, or it doesn't feel all singing, all dancing. But there is a 30-piece orchestra there, and
but it's been subtle.
Yeah, and wonderful arrangements. We were lucky we had a guy called Harvey Bruff, who was the lead singer of Harvey and the Wallbangers.
Oh, yeah.
So he arranged the whole album, and he's done some quirky, some beautiful, and yeah, some interesting stuff. I'm just hoping.
Did you discover anything about your voice that you didn't know when you were doing this? Because you were going into uncharted territory to a certain extent.
Yeah, I suppose so. Do you know what? That you're allowed to break rules, I think, and that if I want to take a breath or whisper, or I can do what I want with these songs, and hopefully that comes across in a way that I'm telling the stories in my way. So yeah, you can break rules more so than in classical music.
But to break rules successfully, you've got to be able to implement them impeccably, haven't you? I mean, you've got to know that it's you've got to know what you can do there, and to be able to sort of play around with it. And did you find the longer you went on with the recording and the more songs that you were doing, that you were pushing the envelope a little bit more, if you think?
Yeah, well, it was funny. We allowed 4 days to record the album vocally, but we did it all in an afternoon. But I suppose I'd done a lot of preparation beforehand, because if you're singing an opera, it's months and months of singing the role in, so that the muscles get used to it all. And I gave these quite a lot of time, and also, yeah, just finding out how I wanted to interpret them. But it was mainly, at the end of the day, the voice almost took care of itself, but it was about the words. And some and also real huge classics, because my last album did really well in America, so they were sending me various things through Facebook and Twitter, and Neil Diamond was one of the big ones that came up as songs to cover. But you also knew that Neil Diamond and the likes are iconic. Their songs belong to them. So that felt slightly scary, trying to do
the responsibility.
Yeah. I did feel that I was allowed to carry the Olympic torch for 3 or 4 steps, maybe.
Well, you've taken it and held it up very successfully, and the flame is still burning. Stay with us, Mark. Let's hear a little bit more of it. I think we've only had a snippet so far. Let's really indulge.
Sorry is all that you can say. Years gone by and still words don't come easily. Like sorry. Forgive me is all that you can say. Years gone by and still words don't come easily. Like forgive me. But you can say, baby, can I hold you tonight? Baby, if I told you the right words at the right time, the right words at the right time, you'd be mine. love you is all that you can say. Years gone by and still words don't come easily. I can love you, I love you. But you can say, baby, baby, can I hold you tonight? Baby, if I told you the right words at the right time, the right words at the right time, you be mine. Baby, can I hold you tonight? Baby, if I told you the right words at the right time, the right words at the right time, the right words at the right time, you'd be
Baby, Can I Hold You Tonight? Mark Llewelyn Evans from his brand new album, This Guy's in Love. Mark is still with us. We'll be chatting a little bit more with him right after this.
This summer, we're getting together for the local shows, festivals, and the big national events all over Wales.
Llangollen International Eisteddfod.
2013 is a real milestone. 60 years ago, a very young Queen Elizabeth II came to Llangollen for the first time, and a group of young children from Obernkirchen in Germany stole our hearts with a song which would echo around the world. Some of the original choir members are returning for the first time, and they'll be sharing their memories with us.
Frank Hennessy.
Catch highlights on Sunday evening at 6 in our Celtic Heartbeat Llangollen special.
Enjoy the best days of summer on BBC Radio Wales.
We are enjoying the best days of summer. We're also enjoying the company of Mark Llewelyn Evans, who's with us, talking about his brand new album, Easy Listening album. It's going to sound like an odd thing to ask, but what about things like the heat in terms of affecting your voice? Do you ever, as a singer, have to worry about something like that?
Yeah, it can dry you out. It's not as bad as air conditioning, I don't think, but yeah, lots of water, and it's just lovely though having it. I'm not complaining
No,
at
I'm
all.
not
I
either.
mean, we
No, I'm
we
not.
often sit around going, oh, I wish the sun would come out,
Yeah.
and then people now in my street this morning were going, it's too
Too
hot,
hot.
stop!
And you want to slap them across the face and say,
Exactly.
come on, just have a glass of water, you'll be fine. Because, I mean, our summers have been 3 days in the past, haven't they? This is a bit longer
Exactly.
than that now. I wonder, with doing this, moving into the easy listening arena, I mean, obviously there are any number of great names in that. People like Michael Bublé, I mean, obviously you go back to the days of Dean Martin and the Rat Pack. You know, I guess Josh Groban, you know, was a similar sort of ilk. Moving into that arena, when you've got people like that, as a classical artist moving into a different arena, were you worried at all that there would be any undue criticism, that people felt that you were muscling in on an area that you shouldn't have been muscling in on, that you would have been critiqued perhaps a bit more harshly than if you hadn't been a professional singer anyway?
I think at the very beginning, when we were drafting up the list, and when I was sitting around the table with some friends, when this whole idea came together, we were drinking a couple of glasses of wine, and they said, come on, let's do an album of pop songs. And I went, no. But, do you know what? Whatever you do, you're going to be criticised anyway. If I was singing La Bohème, which I've done at Welsh National Opera, somebody's going to say they can do it better. And same with this. And hopefully there'll be enough people that find it beautiful and moving that I'll have done my job. Because, you know, that's all I love doing. I love singing, I love entertaining, and whether I'm making people laugh or cry for the right reasons, that I feel so privileged to be doing that. And I only get frustrated when I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it did take a few months, but now that we've done it, and we've done it with some of the best people in the industry, you know what, I'm actually quite proud of what we've done. And it's been a brand new chapter that in many, many ways I would never, ever have thought of attempting. But, yeah, and, you know, they said, oh, you know, Josh Groban has done it, and he went to Juilliard to do classical music. So actually, in many ways, in my 40s, why can't I have a go?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you don't put yourself out there. You've got to be in it to win it. Somebody should coin that
Yeah,
phrase, shouldn't they?
yeah,
They should
yeah,
coin it sometime.
yeah.
We had Ridian on the show earlier in the week, and obviously he's made the move from a fairly classical voice or singing more
Yeah.
classical songs. He's doing the Rocky Horror Picture Show now. I mean, talk
is
about,
he?
you know, two ends of the scale. You know, are you interested in doing a bit more of that sort of thing? Maybe moving into musical theatre, that sort of stuff as well?
I've always wanted, and I've been up for Phantom so many times, and not pipped to the post. It's either the job's not been there, or timing, or whatever. And when I did the Sherlock Holmes movie last year with Guy Ritchie, I've been put up for different movies. I did a screen test recently alongside Anne Hathaway. And there's just various doors that have opened, and you know what? I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think when you initially go to college, you think you're going to leave and you're going to do one thing. You're going to be an opera singer or a musical theatre singer or a presenter or whatever. And you know what? It doesn't normally work like that. And now I'm really glad for the versatility and the idea that every day is slightly different. But more than anything, I love the singing and I love entertaining. And these are just beautiful songs that have become classics.
Classics in their own time.
Yeah.
They're not classical, they are classics.
Exactly.
And the skills overlap anyway, don't they? Tell me about the concert that's going to be launching the album, because it's going to be at the Lyric Theatre in Carmarthan. And that's a very poignant place for you and your family, isn't it?
Yeah, hugely. So next Wednesday the 17th, because my arms were being twisted to launch it either in Cardiff or London. But my mum and dad squatted in the Lyric Theatre 25 years ago for almost 20 years to raise the money and to twist the council's arms to buy the theatre, because the Lyric Theatre had planning permission to be turned into a shopping centre. And my mum was horrified by this, because she just felt that theatre was the first part of us having dreams and being able to fulfil them. And she was passionate about theatre. So for her, this was a no-no. So she moved in. She was a hairdresser. She gave up her job. 3 children in college. Well, we weren't quite there at the beginning of the venture. But she didn't care about the money side of it. She just had to save that building. And for me, now that I've done a venture that is getting quite a lot of interest, and we're getting quite a lot of bigger labels sniffing around, and it was very important for me to go back home to where it kind of all started. And then I was very lucky that earlier in the year I did a big event for Specsavers. On a private jet with me, Rob Brydon and Catherine Jenkins, as you do.
As you do, yeah.
Exactly.
They were on the bus the day before.
And well, Catherine was meant to be an easy jet, but we had room for her. So I fitted her
It
on.
was good of you to pop her on board. You know, I'm sure she appreciated it. I bet she serves up a nice gin and tonic as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, horse does, yeah. If it all goes wrong, Catherine, you could do that.
She's got the looks, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Sorry, Catherine, I mean that's a compliment, though. I really do. She looks fabulous.
She's lovely in red, whichever airline that is.
Whichever, yeah, absolutely. Designed by Balenciaga. And she'd always be first class every time, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back into the realms of reality.
I was, I suppose, mucking about as usual, doing my Uncle Bryn impression, to Rob Brydon. And he said, look, here's my number. He didn't realise, I don't think, that I ever would ring him up. I think it was a kind, as we all do. Yes, if you're in Carmarthen, come and stay. You know, my mother did that. I'm hoping, in many ways, that lots of these people don't come and stay. But I did ring him up, and he was fantastic. He said, I'd love to host the evening. And now he's heard the album. He's very excited and kind of endorsing it all. So he's going to be at the Lyric, being funny, hosting. We're even going to do maybe a duet together.
Now that'll pay good money to see.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be fabulous. And it's, excuse me, as I choke very unquietly. Wednesday the 17th, you said?
Yeah, so next Wednesday, and there's a 20-piece orchestra. We're going to recreate the album live. So we're doing all the tracks. We've got Sophie Evans, we've got Ellen Williams, who was one of the voices of Decca, Voice of Wales, and the cellist Stefan Morris. And Rob. So it's going to be a brilliant night.
Stellar lineup.
Yeah. I just felt that it was important to go and do it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to do it at all, do it properly. Hey, Mark, best of luck with it. It's a great sound. It really is.
Thanks,
and I think you should be very proud.
Thank you.
Well, you only need the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts.